welcome to Greenbuild. Hope you guys are all having a great time at the show so far. My name's Katie Weeks. I'm the Chief Editor of Sustainability for Hanley Wood, and I'm very excited today to be joined by Marianne Lazarus for a quick chat today. Marianne is a lead fellow in FAIA, and she's very well known in the green building realm, and if you don't know her, you're missing out. She is the founder of the Sustainable Design Initiative at the global architecture practice HOK, where she spent her career pushing the green building movement forward. And as a result of her work, the firm now has more than 900 lead APs. I think the count might be a little higher. And it's committed to incorporating sustainable strategies in all of its projects. One of the projects that you might be familiar with is the William Jefferson Clinton Children's Center in Haiti, which is a net zero LEED Platinum orphanage that's being built in response to the Haitian earthquake in 2010. Marianne has also spent a lot of time in leadership positions for USGBC. She served as a program committee chair for Greenbuild for 5 years and helped lead the USGBC's response to Hurricanes Katrina and Rita. And she's currently on leave from HOK to serve as the resident fellow for AIA National on sustainability and design for health. And that's what we're going to talk about today, and talk about a leadership opportunity scan in sustainability that the Institute just completed. So, Marianne, welcome to Greenbuild.
Thank you.
I wanted to start off by asking you to tell us a bit more about your position at the AIA, and can you tell us a bit about what this resident fellowship is?
On leave from HOK, working with AIA on this position called a resident fellow, which is a kind of funny name because I actually don't reside in Washington, D.C. I am still based in St. Louis, but I'm consulting with the AIA as part of their repositioning initiative, which is really thinking about that association and how can it be relevant to the current and future professions of architects. How can it really be better serving that population? So they've asked me to come in based on my experience, 30 plus years at HOK, sort of driving that firm and working across our global offices to look at the architectural profession and related design professions and say, what can AIA do? Where is the role for AIA in the future to drive sustainability? So it's an interesting sort of way to take my experience and apply it across our profession, both current AIA members, future AIA members, other architects and design professionals. So that's my job. It's running through 2014, actually, so I'm a consultant working on both identifying and strategizing and then helping to implement some of these ideas.
As I mentioned earlier, you guys just recently completed this leadership scan. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was and what it entails?
Absolutely. So the first part of my charge in this new role, we're calling the Sustainability Leadership Opportunity Scan. And it's a lot of words, but it really explains what we're trying to do, which is to say sustainability offers leadership opportunities for architects. And in fact, if architects aren't seizing opportunities, their relevance in this decade and next decade will be greatly diminished. What can AIA do? What should the priorities be for AIA to help architects be leaders and leaders in the future? So that's the purpose of this initial work, which was about a 6-month exercise.
What did it entail? Did you survey member firms or?
Well, it was a really fun project for me. First of all, I went out and researched sort of 3 things, both inside and outside of AIA. I looked at what's going on already in sustainability in the built environment and looking at a very broad spectrum of sustainability, definition from health to water issues, to materials, to social equity. So who's doing what related to the built environment? And, and then that's thing 1. Thing 2 was, what are the current priorities? And this meant both within AIA and associated, like AGC and ASHRAE, I say all the A's, and ASLA, APA, I talked to all those guys, and then also talked to key member firms. I had this awesome advisory I work with of people who represented different aspects, some within AIA, some outside. One member of my advisory, key member, was at USGBC, sits senior level staff at USGBC, and they played a very pivotal role in helping advise how this information should be analyzed. And I also talked, and one of the things that was very fun is I talked to the last 10 years of AIA Firm Award winners. So these are firms that have been identified among AIA as sort of paragons of excellence in all ways, and ask them what they're doing, what are their priorities, and what trends do they see moving in the future that they need to be in front of. So all that information got kind of put into lots and lots of analyses and came out with this little tiny report. What I like about the report is its simplicity and its messaging. I say it's like Uno, if you know that card game, where it's simple to understand the rules but hard to execute. So it's very clear. It's not easy. So the clarity is there are two kinds of things that we're saying architects should be, and it really applies to, beyond the architectural profession, should be thinking about. Two that are core to what we do as architects every day, as design professionals working the built environment, and two that are emerging fields and emerging issues that are really important for us as design professionals who understand, the design process and be able to really problem solve using creative thinking. And those are the four issues. So the two that are core are energy and materials. And energy, of course, is something we've been talking about for a long time and really driving to zero, really recognizing how important that is and the role of the built environment, not wavering from that. And the more we can really expand on the good work that's been done with AIA and others, the better. Materials has to do with what's going on in this hallway and in so much of outside now with the changes in the demand for transparency, for really understanding the implications of the decisions we make as design professionals when we're speccing materials. So much more focus on that. And then in the emerging categories, there are two trends that we're saying architects are very important players, and we need to be, the AIA should really help architects be much more part of that world. And then one is design and health, which again is something that's very much part of the U.S. Green Building Council's current priorities too. And one of the wonderful things about this initiative is how collaborative it is with other associations and design firms that are part of this effort. And then the fourth one is resilience. So it's not quite climate change, but it's really thinking about how can we design the built environment in a way that takes, into account that we are in a dynamic, changing world. So it's not all about after the fact, but it's before the fact. How can we actually build that into our design planning and thinking?
So now that you've identified these key areas, what's next, or what is AIA looking to do with these areas, or how can the organization help professionals capitalize on these?
Well, so this is the interesting part. AIA is a member organization, of course, and one of its strengths is its membership. There are 80,000 people. There's a lot of other architects who aren't members but are affected by that, and they're all over the place. There's this giant network, this web. And so the idea isn't that there's any one group that owns these issues. So I presented this report to the board, AIA board. They were all enthusiastic about it and really grasped the relevance of it as part of the repositioning initiative, very much about the future of architectural profession. And now it's everybody's job. So when I started this research, we, between me and my advisory, talked to, hundreds of people, certainly were engaged in that. And so those are the same people that are part of the execution. So it's really, we're in the communication phase, understanding where people are already engaged in these activities, tying them together, and not just within AIA, but also with AIA. People like the Green Building Council and other associations that are really dedicated to these issues. It's really bringing that together and identifying those resources and talent that can help drive this forward. So that's the long-term goal. There's a series of short-term priorities. If you look at the report, you'll see we have action plans set up for each one of those priorities that are multi-year, very specific. Next year we're doing this, the following year we're doing that. So there are and ownership of those are being identified, ability to actually resource it. So one of the things about the plan was it's not just this sort of nice theoretical, but it's actually getting fairly detailed.
Great. Well, I look forward to digging into that a lot more. And again, people can download the full report online and look at these different metrics that are out there. And we look forward to covering all these new initiatives.
Good.
But one of the things that I did want to ask you about, speaking of specific initiatives, is the Clinton Children's Center, which I know you've been involved with USGBC. And it's the Net Zero Orphanage that's underway in Haiti. And I know that there's been status updates at Greenbuild over the past couple of years. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with that project now?
Yeah, I suspect Rick will be also talking about it. But one of the most exciting things, as you alluded to, is that the orphanage has been renamed the William Jefferson Clinton Child Center, and that was at Clinton Global Initiative in September, October, where President Clinton agreed to have that named after him, which is pretty cool. I think there's only 2 other buildings in the world named after Bill Clinton, so this is a fairly high, big deal. And things are moving along. It takes a long time to get construction going in Haiti. It's a tough place to get going. But the groundbreaking will happen in first quarter of 2014. And the goal, cross fingers, is that by Greenbuild in New Orleans, we will have an orphanage that's up and running. So that would be pretty terrific.
That's really great. Well, I look forward to tracking that too. Thank you so much for taking
You're
the time
welcome.
to join us today.
Thank you,
Thank you
Katie.
everybody for joining us.